He is a stand-up comic, comedy writer, producer, and a long-time friend who's appeared on The Tonight Show. And he has his own podcast called Newberg. Big Chris Newberg is my guest today.
Reluctantly.
Today's podcast is brought to you by the Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation. The foundation has contributed to more than 2,900 charitable organizations and minor hockey programs across oil country. You can find out more about the Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation at nhl.com/oilers/EOCF.
Reluctantly.
Hello. Nice to see you, friend.
Good to see you too. It's been quite some time since we hung out in Audio Studio. We're appearing at the comic strip in West Edmonton Mall.
That is the weirdest mall. It has seals in it.
Yes, I believe there are still sequels. I'm trying to think. Things have changed so much. They used to have monkeys and all kinds of stuff anymore and seals, but over the course of the rope period and how things were progressed from that point of view, slowly things have disappeared. But the seals are still there.
See, I always wanted to know, like, when they're building the mall, who is the person who was like, you know what we need? Seals.
We'll put the seals there, and monkeys storing their own shit there.
Yeah.
And what else can we put here? And a car dealership.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in addition to the person who came up with the idea for the seals, someone had to approve it. And like, they probably kept bugging him. Like, have you decided on the seals yet? Listen, I told Bob, and Bob has not gotten back to me yet. But I mean, I think we're going to land in a good place with the seals.
The radio station's been there since 20 years.
It's crazy.
You're good with majestic. Holy.
Yeah, I saw you. Thank you.
It's taking on a life for itself. Yeah, there's
a village. When they say it takes a village, they take them from my beard.
Outstanding. Well, it's good to see that. Another thing with you podcast, the tenant stuff. We're living in Los Angeles. We'll talk about that in a bit. But just I wanted to talk a little bit about what you're doing these days. I know you're doing comedy, writing classes, and you're doing podcast. How's everything going so far?
Everything's cool. I mean, it's slow. It's really slow here. It's just it's a weird time in the industry. It pretty much shut down in August for us last year for writers, and it hasn't really picked up yet. And the entire town being on fire doesn't really help. Like, I wrote for a show called Hollywood Squares, which is supposed to, I did a classic show. They rebooted it, and it was supposed to air yesterday, but because of the fires, they pushed it to the 16th.
Now, I saw what they were doing there. I mean, I grew up in I think you are 70 years older. You're just in your early 50s, right?
54 till March.
Right. Okay. So you're just 5-6 years. You're getting newer than me. So you would remember the original Hollywood Squares with Lynn and George Clinton and all those guys.
Grew up on it.
Yeah. I said, remember the Hollywood Squares. Being able to write for that's the level thing too. I don't think people realize the scenes, the writing that takes place, like all of that stuff that we used to watch. McLean Stevenson and Paul and a lot of that stuff was all written for. It wasn't just them coming off the cuffs, right?
Right. It's interesting that you say that. So I got a phone call from a buddy who was like, he's like, I want you to work on the show. And I said, oh my gosh, it'd be such an honor. I've always been such a fan of Paul Lynde. He was effortless. He was one of the funniest people in the world. And the guy said, well, you had a writer. And I'm like, he personally did? He's like, no, all those squares, everything is written for those people. He goes, they had a joke writer. And I was like, my God, that's incredible. I'm like, what do you want me to do on the show? And he's like, I want you to be the joke writer. And I'm like, I get to be that dude? And I got to be that dude. So I wrote jokes for a lot of people. I mean, there were 6 of us and we all basically did the same thing. But my actual title was joke writer. And it was such a fun experience. It was just surreal. Sometimes just see like some of your heroes saying some things that you wrote and just to be like going into their dressing room and talking to them and pitching jokes to them, seeing what they would say, what they wouldn't say, coming up with something that they would agree to. I was talking to Dionne Warwick, and I don't remember the joke. I didn't write it, but it was something like I had to convince her to say, there was an old song that was like CX spells sex or something like that. And it was like a 60s or 70s song or whatever it was, the chorus was spelled out. So I had to pitch Dionne Warwick, like the coolest lady in the world. I had to try to convince her to say, It's Boobies, Boobies. And she just looked at me with the straightest face and she goes, "No, sweetie."
Leon Warwick, 8 bodies.
Nope. And I was just like, that's fair. That's totally fair.
So Dionne Warwick, actually, she strikes me as probably one of the people I wouldn't suspect to be on the show just because as well she was in her, over teen prime, I suppose. When some of the guys, one center square, just speaking of one center square.
The executive producer is Drew Barrymore, and she is center square.
There's announcing she's got her talk show and she's center square on one of the squares.
Just busy gal. She's such a sweet lady, and she's really hardworking, and it was fun to work with her.
You said, the Rebels too was supposed to premiere this past, like this week. It's because of the funders. Was the entire one already filmed, or is it an ongoing thing that you're going to be working for this?
I mean, I hope there's a second season. We wrapped in August, so we shot 20 episodes, and it's hopefully, it's so genuinely funny. Just the banter back and forth between the people. It's a really great show. And then the host, Nate Burleson, he's wonderful. He's really funny. And it's just like, there's just a lot of really sharp banter. It's fun.
Then what about the other talk or sort of game shows? It's what's his name from Saturday Night Live? Is hosting Virgin Jeopardy.
Yeah. Pop Culture Jeopardy. Colin Jost.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. It's a bunch of school games up next. Pop Culture Jeopardy, and I thought, okay, I'll watch this for 5 minutes, and it was Colin Jost. Drew Barrymore, Center Square.
There was hundreds of people. I mean, like we had 20 episodes, nine celebrities per episode. So there was so many people. And let's see, Kevin Nealon was there. Let's see, Margaret Cho was there. Whitney Cummings, Jay Leno, Tiffany Haddish, Tig Notaro, a lot of comedians. Shaka Khan, it was in there. Debbie Mazur, I think her name. She was in Casino, and she was in Entourage. She was Vince's publicist. I mean, you know her if you saw her. So many people, a lot of people. It was really great. It was fun.
Well, travel and constant Center Square through all the shows, and then it just work different for the other 8 people every time.
Yeah, pretty much. Some celebs did more than one episode, and obviously, if some celeb did very well, they came back and did more, and so yeah. But she was continuously at the Center Square.
It's too. So was that one Glebe was hosting?
Yeah. Gosh, that was my first writing gig. Glebe hosted the entire time.
He has been in the show before.
He can talk.
Yeah, it's like the gift of the gab. He was really adventurous with the political stuff over the last few years too, hasn't he?
I mean, he's very passionate about it, and it's completely on brand for him. He's like, I love Ben. He's a dear friend. He's so intense, like just about everything. It's actually one of the funniest stories, and I hope he doesn't get mad at me for telling it if he ever hears this. But it was just funny during Idiot Test several years ago. Ben comes in and he's got scruff on his face, like he can grow a beard pretty quick, and he's got 4 or 5, 6 days of scruff. And he comes in, and network says, "We want you to shave that." And he's like, "You're telling me what to do with my face?" And they're like, "Yeah, because we're in the middle of a season. You can't just have a beard one episode and then not for all the other ones. You have to shave your face." He's like, I'm not shaving my face." And it escalates, gets to the point where he's really heated. And he's like, "I'm not shaving. This is my face. You can't tell me to do the face." And then the showrunner's like, "You will fucking shave your face." And they go back and forth for like a half hour. It was uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden, the showrunner goes, "You know what? Fuck it. Fine. I don't care. Don't shave your face." And immediately goes, "If you want to shave my face, I'll shave my face." And it was just the weirdest thing in the world, but it was just very Ben.
When you make yourself of American, it's about a gentleman man for half an hour.
It's it. Yeah. You just sit and watch it. And you're in awe.
Your podcast Newberg is going well. I subscribed.
Thank you.
And I subscribed on YouTube, and I also subscribe on the platform where I get my.
Oh, thank goodness! Yes. Now I have 7 listeners. Woo!
What's one of the guests that you had in the past that have been memorable?
I interviewed, let's see, my favorite couple of guests were I had E from the Eels, that band. He was fucking awesome. And then I had DJ Ashba from Guns N' Roses was on, and Vinny from Sponge. And a lot of times it's just me talking. Gives me an opportunity to pop the zit that is my brain.
Of course. And it's been, we're rolling through the bit with your background and stuff. I was watching yesterday's podcast and you were talking about all the
Yeah, absolutely. It's super cool. And then you can also see this way. Yeah, it was funny because my manager, who's been my manager for like 12 years, he's such a hard ass. And he's like, I used to have posters behind me, and he would say, dude, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, put something in a frame. He's like, what are you, 10 years old? He's like, where's the Farrah Fawcett poster? What the fuck's going on with you? He's like, put something in a frame. So I was like, okay. So then I found this stuff and I just put it up, and someone made the logo, which is cool because it's me with these headphones, but it also kind of looks like I'm doing this.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? If you had that vintage Farrah Fawcett or that poster or the red bluetooths, that would be.
It would make the show.
And then that will end up being probably a conversation for all of your guests for at least 4 or 5 minutes of content.
Poster was like, as far as posters go, I mean, you remember that poster was like a hit single. You know what I mean? It was gigantic. Was it gigantic in Canada?
Absolutely, it was gigantic in Canada. I had where everyone, every single formation you could imagine. But there was just to the imagination, and there was plenty that was enough to.
What a beautiful woman! And then she was dethroned by the Heather Thomas poster.
That happens. My backdrop was that was Riders of Team.
Nice. What is it? Just a regular stage, or is it a specific band?
Well, I do my podcast in August 20.
Nice.
It's just it was the burner that looks like a stage that the band is on break.
Oh.
Speaking of which, guitars and stuff, and during your stand-up routines, I've never been in a band or stuff with bands, local bands, just one up and I don't know, open mics or organized bands or anything.
I was when I first started. I was in a band. I started in a band when I was 18 till I was like 30, and I remembered if I get to 30 and I haven't made it, I'm done. And I said, if we get to 30 and we're up in northern Michigan playing cover songs, I'm out. And I was 30 and we were up north. We were in Charlevoix, Michigan, and we were playing American Girl. And I was like, it's time to go.
Thinking about Tom Petty, that was the one. But yep, I'm done.
Just was like, that's it for me. I gotta get out of here. And we had five records, and it was before social media, so it was very challenging to get traction in any situation other than locally. And locally, we lived in Metro Detroit, and it was very suburban. So when you start off in a band when you're younger, of course, all your friends come, and then they get tired of seeing you, and you sell out, and you make sets, and you sell 90 of them, and you think, cool.
We can only drive around and we'll get tunes of all those cassettes slopping around.
Absolutely. I think when I started doing comedy, or when I would sell merch for comedy, I'd say, after the show, if you want a CD, I've got one. If you don't like them, that's cool. I've got like 700 more in my van.
Reluctantly.
This podcast brought to you by The Terry Evans Show with Pete Potipko from 5 till 9 Monday through Friday on Edmonton's Classic Rock, K97. If you are in the Edmonton market, listen at 97.3 on your FM dial. Otherwise, listen live at k97.ca.
Michigan is hard. When I grew up in suppose. I lived out in Los Angeles area for 20-odd years.
I got here in 2003.
Well, close. I saw your Facebook post where a couple of days ago saying that you had been evacuated. And then all of a sudden, I saw your Facebook post saying you're back home. Everybody, so what's biggest story right now is the fires in Los Angeles. Like, if I'm looking at a map, it's been a long time since I've moved out, but if I'm looking at the map, how close are you And what part of LA were you living?
I live in West Hollywood, and the fire, the big, huge one, is in the Palisades. That's 20 miles away, and it's like Palisades, Malibu, and part of Santa Monica. And that's not contained, and that's like 0% contained, and it's still raging because of the winds. Winds here are no joke. And then the other one is in Pasadena, or like I think it's the Eaton Fire, what they call it, and that's about 12, 15 miles. But like I was talking about it on my show. My fiance and we were getting groceries, or just getting groceries, no big deal. And then her mom's blowing her up about the fires, and she was stressed out. So I pulled over into this drugstore, and pulled over, and I said, listen, sweetheart, we're gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be okay. We're safe. Everything's gonna be great. You have nothing to worry about. We're far away from these fires. We'll be fine. And I got her from like here to here. And then I turned left out of the parking lot. And what's on fire behind our house? And I was like, don't look. And of course, she looked. And I was like, okay, just stay calm. We got this. And in this moment, I just became this, I guess in times of tragedy and crisis, I'm insanely calm, because when my father passed away, I was just like, all right, what do we need to do? Let's figure it out. And in that moment, it was the same thing. I was like, all right, let's go home. Let's pack a bag. Let's get our stuff. And then all of a sudden you're faced with this decision. What do you choose? What do you take with you? What's important to you? And it's like you realize you're looking all over your place. And you're just like, what do I want to bring with me? You can't figure it out because it's not really processing and loading, but I'm still like, stay calm, and I'm kind of going through it. So I got I packed a bag, and I threw in my CPAP machine, because, you gotta sleep comfortably. I threw in my passport, no clue why, not sure that I was going to escape anywhere. I threw in a couple pairs of socks, and I took my 2 guitars, and for whatever reason, I had a bag of Chips Ahoy cookies, and I was like, these are going with me. Like, no, why not? Because, you could have a cookie, I guess. I don't even really normally even eat Chips Ahoy, but I bought them when we were shopping for some reason. I decided there was a reason I bought these coming with me. And then all of a sudden someone starts banging on your door. I'm like, get out now. And then it goes to another level of like, oh, fuck, I got to go. You just grab everything, you throw it in the car, and I had no idea where to go. And my neighbors were splitting. I'm like, where are you guys going? And they're like, we're going to Long Beach. And I was like, that sounds safe. All right, let's go there. And so you try to, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, it's like this racing, I have to go. And then you pull out of your street, and it's literally like a stadium at the end of a game. And it's just bumper to bumper, people moving really slow. And you just like, you want to go, but you can't go. And you're trying to move, and the fire's, over the hill. And it's mind numbing. It's very hard to process, but you're given no choice other than to process. Then continuously you have people blowing you up with everything from, come stay here, you can do this, which is overwhelming and kind, but you're like, I just want this to go away. I want it to be over. And it doesn't end. And so we just started driving, and after 3 hours, we were 2 miles away from where we started. And I was like, well, let's get some gas. And we got gas, and then I noticed that the traffic was very thin going the opposite way. So I called a buddy, and he had perfect vision of the fire. And I was like, Josh, what's going on with the fire? And he's like, looks a lot smaller. I'm like, it does? And he goes, oh yeah. And I go, can you send me a picture? He goes, yeah. So he sends me a picture, looked a lot smaller, but on the news, they're like, it's the biggest fire in the history of fires. And then another friend's like, yeah, dude, it's much smaller. They seem to almost have it contained. And then I was like, how can you, what else? He's like, I'm not a fireman, but he's like, but there's also a ton of fire engine presence in our neighborhood to protect all the houses. There's like 20 different engines here already. I was like, okay, that's comforting. So then I said, let's pull over and let's just hang out for a half hour. So we pulled over, and we waited and we waited and we waited, and a half hour turned into like an hour and a half. And then I was like, let's just go home and see what happens. I'm like, we'll drive back. There's no traffic now. We'll drive home. We'll go up on our roof. We'll look at it. We'll see if we feel comfortable with it. And if we feel comfortable with it, cool. We'll stay. And if not, we can leave, and it won't be no problem to get out of here, which is two different schools of thought. One, it's the dumbest thing in the world. Like, how they always talk about how, like, when there's gun, like, there's the phrase, like, I'm white, but I'm not, like, go see who's shooting a gun white. You know what I mean? Like, running towards the bullets. And I did the same thing. And it completely explains, like, when you're watching on television, and, and I use 9/11 as an example, not comparing the two in any way, but when you like, oh, there was a plane hit the building, firemen ran into the building. You're like, fuck, why would they run into the building? And you just think, I think it's going to be okay. I can try and see if I can fix this, or I can whatever. And your mentality completely changes. So you just try to deal with it. And luckily we were okay, and luckier than most. And my neighbor said it best. I feel lucky in a city full of very unlucky people.
Yeah, just seeing the world station and all of the Palisades, reading all of that stuff, because the fire really goes from East Malibu all the way up the wall, down to the more densely consolated area of the Palisades. But it's odd when you get it was, and I guess if you go straight from Malibu up to Panega, then you get into like woodlands and stuff like that. So there's a threat, I suppose, from that that keeps going. But the winds are dying down in this. Well, it's not as quickly as it was, right?
Somewhat, but they're still pretty funky in spots. I mean, like Palisades is still 0% contained. So that's 3 straight days of burning and moving and getting bigger and bigger and not being able to, because they can't get planes over it because it's too windy. So they can't have air support.
Well, they've seen some water bombers down. There's water bombers from Canada all over the place down. Did you see in the news was some idiot had a drone at bar and then flew into the restricted ice boats and hit one of the water bombers in the ground all the times. That was what happened, or what we read this morning.
I did not hear that, but that's, Los Angeles is the place where people are like, instead of escaping, like, let's get a picture of the fire, let's talk about that. I remember going for a jog several years ago, and there was a rattlesnake that was on the cement in the hill, and people were taking pictures of it. I'm like, doing? But that's this city. So it's like, there's so many people who would rather look and take pictures or video of the fire than escape for their lives. And it's just basically what it is. It's like, that's who these people are. And I guess I'm no different, because I was like, let's go look at the fire, from the roof, but it was a different reason, but still it's crazy. I just saw a really good friend from high school posted this morning, and she was like, how can this? And she had a panoramic of her beautiful home in Malibu go to this. It's just a tinder box. Like, it looked like an ashtray.
Was it Pete with the Blackstone Fallon last night?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the clip of him talking about it.
Do you know Pete?
I've met Pete. Pete is very nice. I don't know. We're not like super good buddies, but we're friends. And we did the Nebraska Comedy Festival together. And afterwards, he got me a gig in Nebraska at the Improv there. And I haven't really talked to him since, but he's funny. He's very funny.
Anyone who might be watching or listening to Pete on the film and show on this night, and he launched his house in the Palisades, and talks about how, like, different people talk, I suppose. You're talking about, because, you are clipping things, or you clip with, in reference to when your dad deals with the difficult situations, and what you launching to something like that. And, it's a great example. When we had the fires that can start with Roaring North of Edmonton,
right?
Well, partner on the morning show, Pete, he left, as did everybody else. We had to evacuate the entire town of 80,000 people. But what you've got, people were coming down and we were talking about this stuff. People bought school gear, and it would just grab things because the brain isn't functioning on a normal level. It's ultra functioning and doing things that may not seem reasonable to somebody who's not under that kind of stress, right?
Yeah. And it's weird because it's fast and slow. Did you read 10,000 Hours, the Malcolm Gladwell book?
I've not read it, but yeah, I know of it.
Okay, so in there, I think it's the first story or the second story, he talks about police, and they're making them deciding when to shoot. And it's like, I think it's either 0.7 seconds or 7 seconds between the time make the decision to pull and fire. And each of the police officers they interviewed talked about how, even though I could easily be 2 seconds or 1 second, or I don't know what it is, but each of them talked about how it felt like an eternity, even though it was like a split decision. And that in that moment, it's the same exact thing.
And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. I reached out, I didn't want to make sure it didn't seem insensitive. The podcast, but I thought your proximity to it and involvement with it and what you had to do to react to it, I thought would be something to be interesting and for some people related, believe it or not. How close were you following the progress of the show? Can you watch it? Starting top of it, or have you got just I don't want to know what?
I mean, it's, news is usually on repeat, so I'll watch it every couple hours and see what's going on, or I'll check it. Like this morning, we got a notification that there was an evacuation warning again. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. So I turned the TV on and it didn't say anything about an evacuation notice. It's like they're still west of us, but I mean, significantly, you think I'm hoping we're out of the woods, and it's just, I don't know, we lost an entire town. It's like what I would imagine what Hawaii went through. It's the same thing when they lost all of Maui, or that area of Maui. It's crazy.
So when you say Palisades on the news and people, it's usually close. It's not all these watching films people are in Palisades.
No.
Where they're working jobs and people who lost everything as well. But the weird thing is, we always end up sharing the famous people losing their homes. As far as the Palisades go, I mean, it's in Lake County. And after that, there's a go Brentwood and further west to Beverly Hills and West Hollywood kind of thing. And then you get up toward the Hollywood scene. Is that right?
But that's east. So it would be east instead of west. So it would be like Brentwood, then east of Brentwood would be Beverly Hills, east of Beverly Hills would be West Hollywood, then Hollywood.
Is that the direction the flower was bending toward Brentwood? Because Brentwood is one of those neighborhoods that...
I'm not near Brentwood at the moment. No, I mean, it's pretty far from that still. Like because Brentwood is on is east of the 405, and the majority of the damage is west of the 405.
Okay, that's I can for the facts a little before. I know they've been fighting without even following, and that's closer to the Hollywood Walls sort of thing.
Yeah, it's closer to the Rose Bowl.
Okay, sure, Rose Bowl, that's right. And then the what is it? The Kenneth file. That's the one that's getting uploaded below. And to Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, there's two. It's peculiar. I mean, I think they're going to catch somebody. I mean, I think there's got to be somebody starting these. These aren't just randomly popping up. It's not hot enough to just start a fire. It's just it's not 95 or 100 degrees and super dry. It's like 60. Things aren't just going to go up in smoke. I have no proof of this. I don't know, but it just seems pretty strange that in certain situations, and then plus you could deal with conspiracy theories of all the insurance companies canceling all the fire stuff, and then all of these fires happen. It's like, wouldn't put it past anybody.
Reluctantly.
The Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation is a proud supporter of oil country and has been contributing to our community's success since 2001, with a focus on programs aimed at those most vulnerable in our community and youth hockey programming as well. You can find out more about the Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation by going to nhl.com/Oilers/EOCF.
Reluctantly.
You talk about the conspiracy theories and the possibility that it may be arson. I saw the tweet on X where Henry Winkler, who is renowned for being one of the nicest guys who wouldn't hurt a fly in the entertainment industry in Hollywood and that sort of thing. So talking about what he wants to have the Russians being dating when he knows about it. Wow, the fun.
It's weird. You can hear the Fonz say that, but it's hard to hear Henry Winkler say that.
Well, I know. He wants to beat somebody like a jukebox on Happy Days. the thing that's happening about that is I saw that there was a photograph of somebody being lighting what was set in front of the porch, and I saw another thing on Twitter where it was a podcast here that had witnessed somebody sitting something inside in somebody's sort of yard kind of thing, and just to watch it start and it made the tree underneath because it is dry. I definitely you guys had a ton of rain last year. Where he made everything drier, and then it's been so dry for such a long time, it just added fuel to the fire, for lack of a better term. And what was huge blame to this, right?
Yeah, it hasn't rained here in forever. It's just it's December or January right now, and it's 65, 70 degrees. And it's
I love that Warren had 1.16 of an inch of rain in downtown Los Angeles in the past year.
It's very rare. We get rain in February normally.
That's why we can say it looks like the rain season right there. Yeah, it's February.
That's just nothing.
So we're talking about it's 5 fires and still relatively zero containment of these. And you mentioned the conspiracy theories and all of our insurance staff. There's a lot of government staff shorting of being municipal or state, et cetera. A lot of people under the gun about their lack of response or how they responded.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a joke and then I took it down. It was a lot of people are blaming the governor and the mayor. I personally blame the flames. So, it's just, I did a bunch of jokes this morning, just like, because I was just like, also like Pete was talking about, you've got a vent, the air outside is so thick, black dudes want to hit that. Like, that's a good one. Let's see, maybe Billy Joel started this. Like, that's a good one. Yeah, I had a couple. They were fun, but it's the air outside smells like a North Dakota State frat party on Marlboro Red night. It's it's all in fun, but this is my favorite one. I think the only good thing about the LA fires is now I can do all my school shooter jokes. I think that's nothing wrong with that.
Everything's coping in the round now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard. I can't even imagine. I mean, like when I was driving around in the car, I was just like, maybe I live here now. Like I live in my car now, maybe. It's like, sure, you have money saved and you can figure out how to get a new place and all that other stuff for the inconvenience. But like you could it's like you just hit reset on your current situation. And it's like, that's so unimaginably expensive. I mean, I think it's going to be hard for a lot of people to stay here, really, because it's like, you're going to have to rebuild. The insurance isn't going to cover it. You're going to have to use, and because of the state, you have to use eco-friendly building materials. There's all these permits you're going to need to get. I think it's going to be ugly for a lot of people.
Well, and looking at the other thing too, I know it's into the level, but when I and other people listening and watching them never realize the most expensive concert on the planet was along St. Chris Hollow, where I'm coming a little central knob. There's a lot of homes that have been lost near the same people that lost their homes. The other thing about that is I met in a deep sea water place on Shootswap Lake in Sunderware. We had this concert before. And a whole bunch of lakes and ponds since the 40s and 50s when the water was burnt down, and now they're running into pools and can't be burning in the same spot because there's technical levels and wearing, there's all kinds of things to do with septic fluids, and there's no any sanitary like your sewer and that sort of thing. There's no community. So we went into the same sort of thing around Taiwan in some roads along in Malibu, where one of our parents were eating able to do regardless of how much moon she got. She had a $8 house. I was there and the entire nuclear aspect of it. We could hear that we got some not everywhere, right?
I mean, I don't know the building permit situation well enough to comment, but I would imagine it'll be tricky. But those people have, Paris Hilton, for example, has a level of money that I'm sure she can do whatever she wants. But like you were talking about the working Joes and the regular people, it's going to be almost impossible. And then it's like people are going to come in and buy their land for pennies on the dollar and just rebuild. Like it'll be corporations, it'll be more rental properties. I think, now's a really cool time to be a renter. I mean, because it's like we could have renter insurance, which covers fire, but who knows? It's just overwhelmingly sad.
Like, I would imagine on some level sort of similar to a place like Vancouver in Canada.
Mhm.
Had people who are unaffected all by the snow, so it's whatever it may do. But they're living there since the 40s, 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
Well, we're not necessarily rich. The land that they'll have become extremely valuable, or the last became extremely valuable. That will house rich, not actually rich. You're not rich.
Yeah.
So people end up in that situation too.
Yeah. And I can imagine, like, what if you took like a huge house loan right before this happened and your house gone? And now you owe all this money on a non-existent piece of property? Crazy.
Chris, I was down and took up where I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. As you're on to everything that's going on. Like I said, it's the whole story world right now.
Yeah.
We're people in that community where some of more of that world and what that fix already got live.
It is correct.
Well, you got some stand-up jokes coming up in the near future too, like that.
Yeah. I'm going to be in Halifax, believe it or not. Halifax Comedy Club. They asked for me to be there. I don't know why, but I'm like, all right, I'll do it. That's in April. It's not on the website yet. It might be on the website. I think it's April 8, 9. And then February, I'll be in Detroit the end of February, early March.
And I think it's the 16th is when January is when all its schools and stuff. So after that season, cold descends.
Yeah, I'll just say one funny thing before we bounce. There's the first question I wrote got on, and it ended up being like a runner for the whole show. There's a place in Canada called Dildo Island.
Yes.
Yeah. And the question is, I don't remember what the question was, but I wrote it, but it's something to do with like, there's a place, true or false, there's an island in Canada called Dildo Island. And the joke for it was, I've heard of that place. There's a buzz about it. And Margaret Cho hit the joke, and it was just like, damn. And I was like, yes. And then Kevin Nealon jumped on it, and all these different people jumped on it and then kept talking about it throughout the whole show. It was hilarious. And I was like, I'm at her. It was fun. So I don't think that's going to be the episode, but I know I'm going to record it when it's on.
That's awesome. Chris Newberg, TV show level and Hollywood score flying up shuttle in Germany in the 60s. So check out the Newberg podcast on YouTube and your podcasts and the Chris Army. Cool. Oh, and your comedy classes. Are you still teaching comedy classes?
Yeah, still teaching comedy classes. You can reach out to me. You can message me off my website, and I'm happy to teach.
Thanks for chatting with me today.
Thanks, brother.
Reluctantly.
Today's podcast brought to you by the Clayton Bellamy Foundation for the Arts, supporting education and community-based programs in the province of Alberta by providing financial support to arts programs in need. ClaytonBellamyFoundation.org.
Reluctantly.